going to call the meeting to order. Kimberly, can you take roll, please?
President Bill Smith.
Here.
Vice President Richard Lindsay.
Here.
Secretary Annette Compo. Treasurer George Seifert. Trustee Lisa Milton.
Here.
Trustee Carrie Nicholson.
Here.
Trustee Larry Williams.
Here.
We will observe our customary moment of silence. Richard, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We heard that Annette wasn't going to be here.
I heard
Somebody's in the hall.
George is coming in. So do
George.
we do that as part of the approval of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda and adding, Lisa, would you act as secretary?
So moved.
Media support? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, Annette is here? Do we have to redo these?
My motion was contingent on Annette not being.
Hi, Matt. Why don't you go ahead and withdraw that amendment? Start all over again.
Okay. Can I have a motion to, well, do we have to, can I have a motion to withdraw?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So, second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Very good.
Good.
Okay. Members of the audience may address the board on agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move on to special presentation, middle school robotics team.
Yes, I want to introduce Nisha Ritchie. Ritchie is our coordinator for the Techno Hawks, and she's got her whole squad here.
Awesome.
Almost.
Almost. We'll slide around so we could get everybody in here. Are you good?
Wow. That's a lot of hawks.
Good evening. My name is Nisha Ritchie. I'm a middle school science teacher, and I am one of the coaches for the Techno Hawks, and this is actually my 5th year with FTC, which you'll learn a little bit more about, but my 2nd year with the Marshall Middle School robotics team. They're here to talk to you about our past season.
Hi, my name is Io Lapide. I'm in 8th grade, and our robotics program, FTC, stands for First Tech Challenge.
Hi, my name is Dylan Diltz. I'm a 7th grader. FTC stands for a community of people who like robotics and want to inspire others.
FTC is a program that takes the minds of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and has them problem solve, build, and show leadership in the world of robotics.
Hi, my name is Noah Bowman. I'm in 6th grade, and gracious professionalism is when you show your fellow robotics teammates and other teams that you are having good sportsmanship and listening to others' ideas. This is a big part of FTC.
STEM,
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
is used for almost everything in robotics. Now we would like you to hear some of the problems or challenges we faced this past season.
I am Chloe Collins, and I am in 6th grade. This year we had a very young team with 16 6th graders, 2 7th graders, and 6 8th graders. Most of our programmers are 6th graders this year, and along the way we had problems programming our coordinates.
My name is Shane and I'm in 6th grade. Our young teammates did not have the experience building with robotic parts and using the tools for robots. We have faced challenges with our robots communicating with phones that our programmers are working with.
To understand why we built the robot the way that we did, you have to understand the game. So the game changes every year, but there's usually still 2 main components. There's a computer-operated phase and a driver-operated phase. In the computer-operated phase, people write programs to tell the robot to knock off specific colored wiffle balls or drive to a taped-off area.
My name is Michael Garcia and I'm in 6th grade. In the driver-operated period, 2 people control the robot to pick up blocks and arrange them in towers and rows, pick up plastic items, and
place it in here.
My name is Isaiah
The
Miller.
entire game lasts 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
My name is Isaiah Miller. The robot needs to be able to use an arm to pick up glyphs, programming to make the robot move, wheels for movement. On each team, we have some teammates work on designing the chassis, building the robot, programming the robot for different jobs. All of these are recorded in our engineering robot. Next one here for jobs.
Hi, my name is Josh Brown, and I will be talking about community outreach and fundraising for our robotics team. We had an employee from Consumers Energy, who is also a parent, volunteered time to our team, and in turn, consumers donated money to our team. We also had a pancake breakfast at Applebee's to raise money for the middle school and high school robotics teams.
Hi, I am Yana Sutherland, and I am in 8th grade. In October, we went to Cornwall's Turkeyville Farm and haunted their barn, and in turn, they donated money to our teams. Lastly, we hosted 37 teams at our qualifier match at Marshall Middle School. We also helped our Washington, D.C. trip by sharing some of our concession money with them. We will also be showing our robot at the science fairs in our district.
I'm Larson Morehouse, and I'm an 8th grader. And this has been my first year at robotics because I recently moved to the district, and my other school didn't have a robotics program. So it has been an interesting experience, and it's been really fun to go to competitions and see all the other robots and see how ours stacks up. And so I look forward to being on the team next year in high school. And on behalf of the Marshall Middle School robotics team, I would like to thank you all for your support and time tonight.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead.
What are the different numbers on your shirts and sweatshirts? Some of you have 7445 and others of you have 7479.
So there's 2 different Marshall teams because we're so big and we have a lot more people than we need to work on a single robot. So we have 2 robots and therefore 2 teams.
Thank you.
How many of you have actually learned how to do coding, computer coding? That's outstanding. You know that's a world language, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good, very good.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do again. How many of you feel that your involvement with robotics has improved what you do in the classroom and in your middle school? Wow, that's awesome. And who's the team captain for the black? Not here? Who's the team captain for the red? All right.
Right.
Awesome.
How many of you are planning on staying with robotics next year?
Very good.
All right. Well, congratulations, Nisha. We really appreciate you doing what you're doing with this team.
Yeah.
Thank
Keep
you
up the
very
good
much.
work.
Outstanding.
Okay, next we are going to go to the economic outlook. I know that Scott's not here, but are you gonna lead it?
Yeah, so Scott sends his regrets. He was unable to be here tonight, but we have the video that actually showed at the chamber dinner. Some of you were at the chamber dinner, and if you weren't at the chamber dinner or otherwise, can please try to come to February 27th as the economic outlook for Marshall. I think Kimberly sent invitations out to anybody. So this video is kind of a short story of what's going on in Marshall right now. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. To me, one of the things, and again, I'm currently chair of the MPS Board, although my term blissfully ends June 30th, and Karen Durant is going to be the next chair going forward. It's been really fantastic to have the involvement of the schools. Randy Davis has been on the MPS Board, who's on for a number of years, and he stepped off the middle of last year, and he is on the Local Development Finance Authority and the Downtown Development Authority. But Becky Jones took his spot not can't take Randy's spot, but took his place on the board to keep that close relationship between education and economic development. And again, in the last couple of months, and a couple of these are mentioned, we've had 3 mega projects that have been interested in coming to Marshall. So we had one group of visitors from China came over and took a look at our community. And part of what was really fun in talking with them is the things that they're looking at. Education is always very much at the top of the list, and the robotics kind of fits in nicely with that. They're looking for a skilled workforce. One of the biggest problems we have in our community is we don't really have enough available people to be able to fill 1,000 to 1,500 type job facility. So again, to be able to help to work closely with plants that are coming in here, Randy's able to come again when the site selectors come in and say, we've already started these programs, they're in place, we're working with partners like KCC and Albion College. I feel like we're really ahead of the curve on this, and I think probably in the best place we've been for economic development in a long time. I feel like we're all cooperating very closely together. So kind of with that, we'll roll the video. There's sound to it, yeah, but it's just music. I don't think there's any. Imagine a really hip soundtrack.
Do you want to sing?
No, that would not be it. I'll just hum along. This is that C Drive property I was telling you about. We've had 3 different mega projects interested.
Where is that?
It's on C Drive if you're headed out of town. Marshall Township Hall basically is that big flat piece of land that goes to the west. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. I was actually in the Cronin building last week and got a tour. Construction's going on, Grand River Brewery on the first floor. The apartments are ready to be leased in March and April. They've actually got a couple that are ready in March. Hotel is going to be ready this summer, so that's been a project that's been underway for a long time.
The Cronin or the 2 new hotels coming up?
So that's the Cronin Hotel, and then
Right.
there's going to be two new hotels that are going to basically sit parallel to the existing hotels. That's a $40 million investment, along with 2 restaurants to be determined at this point. So 2 restaurant pads. A lot of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
good,
really
and a good lot of cooperation in the community. And again, MEDA, part of the reason of the chamber is darning together with economic development. Again, the chamber and the DDA, which is the Downtown Development Authority and Local Development Finance Authority, are combined together to form MEDA. So income streams that come from all those different entities, and the hotel accommodation tax that comes from the hotels here in town funds MEDA.
So I was at an economic development branding discussion for Albion with the Chamber of Commerce over there, and they mentioned how much they really like what's going on in the Marshall Loop and the MEDA webpage, which is really cool to hear because we need to have that connection going. Another observation I made is 6 family dwellings that are brand new, and I'm preaching to the choir, is just a drop in the bucket on what we need to create. And we need to have our discussion heard from the Marshall Board about how we want to move forward with that and support families moving into our communities to support the economic development that we're trying to accomplish.
And again, there will be an additional slide added to that as part of the presentation on the 27th. That's on Locust Street. If you haven't had a chance to go check it out, faces onto Rice Creek, beautiful units. They're all going to be apartments, is my understanding, but they're being built by Kelly Williams, and he has plans to build about another 60 units on the Kalamazoo River, across from the power station. Yep. So it's going to be off Hughes Street. So yeah, as you said, the things that companies ask about in our community are, okay, I'm going to build this factory here. Who's going to work in it? And you can't have additional people come into the community unless there's additional housing. And of course, housing affects then the schools, affects the workforce, everything. So it's very, very important. And basically, there has not been a new housing start in Marshall since 2008, is my understanding. So Kelly Williams project is the first one. Is that right? Yeah. So, whatever we can do to support that, we'd much appreciate it.
Moving forward.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We will move on to the consent agenda. Renew the appointment of board trustee Kimberly, is it Arntz? Is that how you say it?
Arntz.
To the Albion District Library.
And I'll give you some background before we make a motion. Kimberly Arntz has served on the Albion District Library Board since the library district was formed in 2007. Her term expired this past December. Ms. Arntz has agreed to continue serving on its board as Marshall Public Schools representative. If you recall from the agreement that we signed last year with the Marshall, or with the Albion Library, we have 2 trustee seats that represent the interests of the overall school district, and we are their school district. So a renewed appointment would have her serving through December 2021, when the term would expire. It is the recommendation of the superintendent that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Motion,
I move for approval.
Support.
discussion? Okay, let's start with Larry.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we're gonna move to board topics, STEM class for MOHS.
Jason Raditz and Ben Wallace, do you want to get up and say anything about this recommendation? And Don, do you want to take a lead on this as well?
Well, good evening. So I am going to let Jason do most of the heavy lifting on this because this is his proposal, but he did come in front of the Curriculum Council about a month ago and gave a very, very good presentation to us on a new proposal for a rotating class at MOHS that he's just titling STEM. It's basically 4 classes in one because it's going to have different curriculum depending on what's being taught at the time. And the 4 classes that he's proposing to us are drone and remote piloting, 3D printing and design, video production, and robotics. So all 4 of these are wonderful opportunities for our students over at MOHS. They do meet all the next generation and New Michigan science standards. So of course they fit very well in the curriculum. But what we were most excited about is these are the types of hands-on discovery learning activities we would want any student to learn, but especially over for our alternative learners at MOHS, this is exactly the type of learning we would want them to be engaged in, get excited about. No cost for the district on this. All the activities and technology is already over there, so that's of course a bonus for us. And Mr. Raditz has great experience with these sorts of this sort of teaching and these sorts of technologies as well. So it's going to be great to have them used on a daily basis if we approve these classes. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to him. He's got a video and he'll be glad to talk to you about and answer any questions that you may have to round out your knowledge.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, good evening, folks.
Good evening.
I do have a video, and I believe that Dr. Davis shared that video about a month ago with you. So I'd like to just show some of the images that we have had, that you guys have seen already, but I'd also like to share it with our audience so that they have an idea of what STEM looks like in an alternative environment, and actually in a traditional environment as well. So if you would, please. So we have those which is okay. So sometimes that's what happens with technology. Technology is great when it works, and you just don't know where it is. Yeah, there it goes. So let me talk to you a little bit about the proposal, and I will have to do it without the benefit of the images, and I apologize to our audience. This is what happens when things happen at the last minute. In our environment at the Opportunity High School, we deal with a lot of personalities and a lot of challenges. Some are manifested in productive ways, and most of them are manifested in non-productive ways. So getting kids engaged in anything outside of their comfort level is very, very difficult to do. And when we're talking about outside of the comfort level, we're talking about interacting with other people. So one of the things that we do with the STEM curriculum, and as I've integrated it slowly into the existing science curriculum at MOHS, we have seen kids engage at a greater rate than I would say a couple, 3 to 4 years. That has translated into an increase in our state proficiency scores. So we've had the highest level of proficiency people scoring proficient on the M step than we have in the last 5 years. We had 10% of our kids proficient, which is a high watermark 5 years after 1 year. Now, I wish I could say it was me, and I wish I could say it was the curriculum. There's a lot of intervening variables that happen when we're talking about standardized testing. But if you look at the amount amount of work that is completed on a daily basis compared to past classes. When you look at the referral rates that are coming out of this program compared to the other science classes in the past, and when you look at that state standard score, all of it adds up to that this is a very engaging program, especially to kids who would rather not be engaged. As Don pointed out, we have about 4 varieties of STEM. They include video production, and again, we are benefiting from Albion Community Schools' investment in technology. We have a wonderful audiovisual production facility, which I received training in when I was employed at Albion for about 4 weeks from a producer from the BBC and from a video production company in Minnesota. My brother does it as a professionally. He did up until about 3 weeks ago. I was responsible for all training and documentary for Domino's Pizza. So videography is kind of in our family love, as is drone piloting, all that good stuff. So you have a great resource in myself, a great opportunity to expand this program if necessary, and a great group of test subjects in which to really make sure that this program is successful. And again, if you have the time, please take a gander. I think everybody has a copy of it. So with that being said, is there questions, concerns that anybody would like to? Yes, sir.
Jason, where do you see this going in your focus with STEM and the work with our non-traditional students?
Yeah, the sky's the limit on this. This could revolutionize what we do at MOHS. If we take the direction that Mr. Wallace is talking about as far as career readiness training, if we add this STEM component to this career readiness, we could have something that is really, really unique and special to this Marshall district. This would be bringing in kids from other districts. So, and we know that it does because every Saturday, 3 times a year, we bring in about 50 kids from other districts to our DCATs. So the interest is there in other districts. They don't have a program to support that interest.
And I have to tell you from an economic development standpoint, and Randy's had the experience of mentioning these programs to people that are looking at our communities, there's an immediate interest from employers. I mean, this is something that will lead directly to jobs that are in demand right now. I'm sorry.
I just had 2 things. Do you see more students interested in science and pursuing that after they graduate? And then are you going to coordinate the video unit so that maybe the kids can showcase it at the BOEM? I don't remember what they call that festival of making your own documentaries.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's one of the goals that we want to do. We want to do a small documentary and shorts, video shorts. What was your first question again?
Do you notice that there are more students that are interested in, after they finish going into science careers?
So I can touch on that. So we have a lot of kids who aren't engaged in school. You know, typical traditional education is not engaged with, they're not interested in it. After doing some of the stuff we're doing in Jason's class with project-based learning and using technology, we start to see some of these kids get engaged in school that aren't normally, okay? And we've taken kids to the state capitol a year ago. I wouldn't have left the building with them. And they're up there showing science projects and such and stuff they're working on in his classes. Last week we took a trip to KCC's RMCC facility where they have a robotics program that upon completion most of those people make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And here's this same couple kids who are interested in robotics, who a year ago they said, well, we want to work at the factory, right? That was their motivation. And now they're looking at their robotics program as an option for secondary education. So that's the kind of stuff we're seeing out of it. Like I said, we've only been doing it for the last year, and we're trying to take that cross-curricular in other classes. This helps us big time with our Algebra 2, because a lot of our kids struggle with math generally anyways. And this helps us kind of close some of those gaps. This class and this program would help us close some of those gaps also. So yeah, we're absolutely seeing a lot more interest in the sciences and technology stuff that our kids would probably be normally drawn to anyways. They just didn't know they were available, and they didn't know they were good at it. So when they see they can do it, and they start doing these things, and they're programming these things, and they're doing what they tell them to do, like, oh, wait a second, this isn't as hard as it sounds or as it looked. So yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was gonna share an anecdote, but I think.
Now, we talk a lot about this within the non-traditional setting, but now we're talking about crossing over with traditional and non-traditional. So what's the expectation that we're going to be crossing over, where we're going to have students from our traditional high school setting wanting to go to these this type of coursework?
Well, that's to be seen. I think a lot of the kids that are in our program now are there, never anticipated in being at MOHS. And when they come and see it, and they see what we do and some of the hands-on project-based learning we do, I think they're becoming more drawn to that. Because a lot of the kids that we work with don't see themselves going to post-secondary education or to college, traditional college. They see themselves working in a factory. But the jobs that are available and the careers that are available within an industrial setting are immense. And I think it's just taking the whole mystical, the whole fear of the unknown and showing it's possible, and they're getting into it. Which, of course, cross-curricularly, we're also seeing those kids showing more interest in our classes because now they've got a reason to finish those classes. So, I mean, I think that's a possibility. I think that's when him and I, the more we bounce some of these things off and talk about the different tracks we can go with this, that's a very good possibility.
Well, if we accomplish getting IACT, and CAMA over to the Opportunity High School, that is going to be a very clear option that kids are going to have, especially their sophomore and junior year. So we have to anticipate that these types of coursework offerings will be something that will be attracted by a lot of kids, and it'll bring a different dynamic for you as well. Okay. So what's the next steps? Don, it's been put in front of the Curriculum Council. What's the next steps here?
Curriculum Council has approved it and is passing it on and is requesting the board's stamp of approval. So
it's not an action item tonight, though.
It's not an action item tonight, though, right?
No,
so we got 30 days?
30 days, correct.
You guys good for us to put this public? And all right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I see it in operation. There is an excitement on the part of students. And like Mr. Wallace said, a lot of kids who probably wouldn't be engaged. I mean, you just see, it's like a light turned on. And they really get into it and they really enjoy it. And it's not easy by any means, but just to see the excitement of kids who probably never would have thought that they would be in a program like that, it's good. It's good to see.
Good deal. Thanks, Larry.
Perfect, thank you. We'll move to B, Albion resident student secondary level outcomes.
Yeah, I just wanted to focus on, this is the presentation that I gave about after annexation to community leadership in Albion, but a number of you were there at that presentation. Bill, did you go? You went?
Is that true?
Carrie was there, Larry was there? Okay. You weren't there, okay. So I'm gonna get through this because I really want to take a little time to review, the data relative to our secondary, Ben, you're gonna want to sit here for this one, relative to our secondary educational process. We talked about, because I think the Albion community really wants to hear how are our students that have had experiences in the Albion Community Schools and continue to go through this pipeline we call Marshall Public Schools PK-16 model, how are they doing? And they also want to know how are we doing in regards to students of race or color, and make sure that we're discussing that as well as male and female students that are coming into our programs. This data is, I guess for lack of a better word, if you don't understand the backdrop that goes on in the state of Michigan and that goes on in the country, this data is really outstanding data. And once we can really track down all of the students that have graduated successfully from our program and gone on to do, good things in the post-secondary arena, as soon as we get that picture completely filled in, it's going to be excellent. So when we talk about the 630 students that have elected to come into our secondary educational system, and that could be either the traditional high school or the Opportunity High School, that's not all the students in Albion that we've educated, right? There's a lot of kids that are in our elementary and middle school level that haven't got there yet. But of the 630 students that enrolled and considered attending our school since 2013, we had 104 of those students transfer out after they got through our front doors. Or maybe they didn't even go through our front doors and just decided that they were going to check out and go to another district. That's 16.5%. And I said this in the meeting, the Albion community has had a fragmented school system experience for a long time. So school of choice has been something that's been there strongly for a long time. And what we're trying to do is try to help the community feel welcomed and part of what we're doing and see success in what we're doing so that we can continue to reduce that number of students that choose to transfer out of our district. So after you take out the 104 students that transferred out that we didn't get a chance really to educate in the post-secondary arena, that leaves us with 526 students, all right, that are enrolled and actively involved in our schools.
Randy?
Yeah.
Are the amount of students transferring out dropping?
No.
Or is that pretty much
When we say transfer, thank you, Carrie. When we say transfer, that means we verified that these students have gone to another school system and shown up on the radar to indicate that they've already, with school records, are already attending another school. Okay? Good question. So of the 526 students that are attending, current and expected positive outcomes, and what we mean by that is, are the students on pace to graduate within their 4-year cohort, or have they already graduated successfully from the programs? So I don't divide that out yet because that's fluid, and I'll explain that a little bit further as we go on. But of the 526 students since 2013 that enrolled and actively attending Marshall Public Schools, 69 dropped out. 69 students in a dropout situation is 13.1%. What I can tell you about that 69 is 18 have come back in our system. They've dropped out, they've come back in. Some of them have taken our Step Up online academy after they've dropped out. 2 of them, right, Ben, 2 of them have graduated?
Yes.
2 of them have graduated with Marshall Public Schools diploma. So we're actually seeing closure in a successful way with those kids. And those kids may drop out and they may show back up and then they may drop out again. So that's a very fluid situation. But I think we're being productive across the board, clearly with 457 students that are still on time to graduate within their 4-year cohort and or have graduated already from the system since 2013. So let's see how that breaks down. With race and ethnicity and outcomes since 2013 for the Opportunity High School. For the Opportunity High School, we had 38 racially diverse males from Albion that attended the Opportunity High School. 11 of them dropped out of our system, And like I said, it could be fluid in how they came back in. 27 are on pace or have already graduated from the Opportunity High School. The next one over is white males. We had 59 white males enroll in our school and actively attend. 27 of them have dropped out. And then 32 are still active and on pace to graduate or have already graduated. They're clearly right now the highest level of students as far as the dropout rate's concerned. And then we have racially diverse females. We had 25, only 5 dropped out of the 25, leaving 20 that are on pace or have graduated. And 40 white females, 6 have dropped out, 34 are on pace to graduate.
Is that a typical pattern where the dropout rate for females is significantly less than males across the board?
This is more akin to a non-traditional school, actually. It's not so much, when we get to the high school, you'll see a different scenario. Not sure why, and when I said the classification of student that seems to be most at risk in regards to dropout rates would be white males coming from the Albion school system into our system, and we can't, we have to unpack that. We have to take a closer look at that, why that is. And when you look at the high school, you'll see the same, well, a similar scenario. So let's go to the high school. In the Marshall High School setting, we had 102 racially diverse males into the high school setting with only 6 that dropped out, leaving 96 students on pace or have graduated. For 79 white males from the Albion community coming, 10 dropped out, leaving 69 on pace. For racially diverse females, 109 came in, only 3 dropped out, leaving 106 on pace. For white females, it was 74 with only 1 dropping out, 73 on pace or have already graduated. That's pretty impressive. And then when you combine and look at it overall, I put the percentages here. We are 71% successful with racially diverse males at the Opportunity High School, 94% successful for racially diverse males, and overall for Marshall Public Schools, 88%. Folks, Michigan is the lowest state in the nation in regards to graduating African American males from high school. That's amazing to me. I mean, it's embarrassing, it's tragic, and we need to do a better job. It appears we're doing a better job. And when you think about that relative to also the state of Michigan, or even the history that Albion Community Schools had in their overall graduation rate, 88% is far higher than any of those. So when this story gets out and we really start to unpack this and figure out what we're doing well, I think that's going to be really huge. And part of it is what's the community doing to embrace secondary education as an option for their children coming from Albion into Marshall schools. So we have to really work through that. I mean, this is not, to me, this is very, very hopeful data. And then when we look at the white males, 54% are successful from the Opportunity High School, 87% at the Marshall High School, with a 73% rate of success or moving towards positive outcome. And that is the lowest subgroup classification that we're looking at right now for the students from Albion. For the racially diverse females, 80% at the Opportunity High School, 97% for the high school, or for the traditional high school, and overall 94% successful or on pace for success. For white females, 85% for the Opportunity High School, 99% for the traditional high school, 94% overall. And if you go to the all Albion schools to the far right, we are 87% successful for all Albion students coming into the secondary system that we provided. or on pace for success. That is absolutely outstanding. The last, I don't really want to quote what the Albion Community School was back in the day when they had a K-12, but this is much more significant in success. Part of it is because the kids don't really think initially when they came in that they had much of a choice. But what they did is they found an environment that was providing opportunities for them that they felt they didn't have. And it provided high expectations and hopefully an engaging environment. It's taken some time and we've had some issues. And I'm not sitting here patting the high school or the Opportunity High School on a job well done, although they're doing excellent work. I'm here to say that we have to continue to grow this. We have to continue to be stellar in what we're providing our students, so all of our students feel successful. And how does that look then overall? Well, this is overall. Here's all Marshall High School students in graduation and post-secondary. And if you see the graduation in 4 years on pace, and you see from 2013, 14, and 15, 95% were graduating in 13, 14, 95% graduated in 14, 15, 92% in 15, 16, and the state average is 80%. And we don't know how the end result's going to be with this last one, but we will have that data to be able to compare. When you look at post-secondary enrollment, we had 82% of the students in 13-14 enroll in post-secondary college. This is not job training or skills training, just college. 77% the next year and 72% the year after. And the average across the state is 58%. And then they say, what's the persistence? The students are actually attending and considered to be on pace according to the 4-year degree. 76%, 75%, and 68% most recently. And of the students that go from, on the state average that go to college, 60% were persistently attending. So we're still above the average there. This was a little shocking to me, but still, even within the environment that we're looking at for post-secondary, 48% completed on time in 13-14, 49% 14-15, 41% 15-16. The state average is 33%. Well, 4 years is a long time to not have any roadblocks in your way to be able to complete college. It's not to say they didn't. This is only those that completed college in the 4-year. One of my daughters did. One of my daughters took 4.5 years to graduate. So it just, I mean, those things occur based on scheduling and so on and so forth. But you can see we're doing a decent job. Are we doing a stellar job? No. It's not great. It's not the most excellent we can be, but I'm telling you what, we are really delivering the product that we're expecting to deliver. And the other piece of that is more and more we're focusing on career development and not just college. And we're trying to track that, so we're going to figure out a way to be able to bring that data to you as well. So overall, I got to say, this is really a story that's unfolding. You're not going to hear this on some of the media that have tracked this conversation over the last year. I'd like to be able to get this message out, and at some point we'll find a way to do that. But in Albion, there's a recognition, especially with the parent panel that came up. Some of those parents have not had great success and experiences with Marshall and still continue to struggle with Marshall, but they see opportunity for their children. And they're in it to make sure that their children get the best education they can get. And so I guess that's the best way to capitalize what they said in that panel. It's not great, there's issues. However, they know that that the kids have the best opportunity for success in our system that we've created for all of our district now, which is 171 square miles that we're now serving. So I wanted you to hear that. If you have any questions, let me know. we'll continue to bring this information back so that we can continue to put this in front of the public.
We have to continue to do this in spite of the current assault on public education is the problem.
That's true. Any other comments, questions? Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to status of March 12th, 2018 work session.
Yeah, so probably unbeknownst to you, because I didn't tell you, because I didn't really see it until Kimberly and I looked at the calendar, you approved me to go to the Governor's Economic Summit with education. And that comes on March, sorry, let me make sure I'm here, I'm in the right place. That is for March 12th and 13th. March 12th is a work session that we have on our schedule. So that's a problem. That's one of the problems I want to talk about. The other issue is we need to get through my evaluation. And so we have to wrestle with how are we going to do that as well.
So you were good for one more time.
Huh?
So I thought you were good for one because, no.
No. Actually, technically, we could skip about
I was
two
going
or
to say
three.
technically we could.
No, I want to get the feedback, and I think it's really important that you guys have that opportunity. And I know that Kimberly's sent out the evaluation to my leadership team to fill out and get back to us in what, Kimberly, what? Before the next board meeting. So if you'd like to jumpstart that conversation, we can prepare ourselves for the next board session.
When did we do the evaluation last year? About?
It's traditionally done at the work session and then the session,
In March.
and then you act on it at the business session in March.
So in March, it's completed in March.
So because the work session's a conflict on schedule, we can combine the business work session, but that doesn't give us an awful lot of time to, it gives us time to approve, but not time to really process.
And we have the new process that we have not yet used. I'm trying to remember, did we use that last year?
No, we didn't use it last year.
Yeah, so we have a whole new process to get refamiliarize ourselves with.
Yeah, so we could do a special board session at another time if you wanted to just spend that as the agenda item, which might be helpful. But as you said, George, we haven't done the process yet, so.
You want to be at that first time through.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking that the 12th we could still meet
right
without you, but then we could use that time to.
You could deliberate, yeah.
Yeah, we could deliberate without you here that day.
And then give me feedback on the.
And then be able to speak to you on the 26th.
Would we need to have the refresher on how to use how the process works on the 26th?
On the 26th, yeah.
Of February, and then.
Yeah.
So would you like me to bring that to the board? We walk through that process on the business session in February?
I'd like a refresher course on it. I think that would be a good idea.
And then, are you guys okay to meet on the 12th? And we could do that as closed, right? Because we're discussing your evaluation.
Yes.
So we can do that as a closed session on the 12th, and we can have our deliberation that we normally do, and then be prepared to act on it on the 26th. Does that seem fair?
I was trying to remember how the process works, though. Is that, if we use this new tool, is he involved in the process early on or not?
Yeah, because I'm supposed to be presenting some data and some information along the way.
So I don't think we can just deliberate and then present him with that, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Should we meet maybe March 5th?
If you'd have a back-to-back board session, but if you guys are willing to do that, we could have a special session.
My kids are gone.
I can do the 5th.
By then.
Yeah, I'll be fine on the 5th as well.
What'd you say, Carrie?
I think the 5th would work.
Richard, you say?
It's fine, 5th works for me.
Okay. Larry, you okay with that?
I'm good with that.
Lisa?
Let me check.
I will not be here on the 26th, so you'll need a different time.
Oh, yeah, so having a special session would be helpful.
So the 5th is we're thinking just to talk about this.
Yeah, just that is business. That way we can call session, we can go into closed session, and we can come out.
Right.
I can do some presentation to you about some of my benchmarks.
So we're currently the 12th and the 26th, right?
Currently, that's what we're scheduled, but we're proposing the 5th instead of the 12th, if I'm understanding correctly.
Right.
And then the 26th will be a combined work and business session, and then that's when we would take action.
And what I'll do on this coming up business session here in February is I'll give you a refresher on the process.
Okay.
Under board development. Okay, and we can talk about what to expect for the 5th. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, just a brief, we don't need a detailed thing, just sort of a brief review of everything we did
There's
a year ago.
handout for
basically.
that.
Yep.
Can you make sure we get those in the?
Yep.
That business session handbook?
Yep.
Okay.
Review these dates for me one more time. So February 26th, we're just.
It's our regular session, but we're
Regular
gonna
session.
go through, we'll do a review of the process.
Okay, and
And
then
then
the 5th is closed
the
session.
5th would be, closed session, and it'll take the place of the 12th.
So nothing on the 12th.
Nothing on the 12th, and then we would then meet on the 26th as a combined business and work session. And then we would look to take action on the eval at that point.
I may not be here March 26th.
Okay.
On the what?
On the
On
26th.
March 26th, I may not be here.
Well, you'll be able to express yourself.
Yeah, you guys will be able to get your stuff, and
Be able to
I
make
can
a
always meet.
decision and have discussion on the
Right.
5th.
Yeah.
No, I won't be here on February 26th.
And I'd
Probably
be
the 5th
happy
is-
to meet with you guys individually afterwards if there's other stuff.
Sounds
Before that meeting, be able to do that.
And we'll have the aggregated response from the leadership team, as you normally get that. We'll have that compiled for you as well, so you'll have that to look at.
Okay.
So then nothing on the.
So the 12th will come off,
Mhm.
and then the 5th is gonna be a new one. So, everybody good there?
I'm there.
Most important person, Kimberly, you're okay? You're good? Okay. Thank you. We will now move to public comments. Seeing none, board members' comments for which no action may be taken at this meeting.
Go Technohawks.
Very neat.
Okay, then can I have a motion to go to closed session?
So moved.
Support?
Carrie?
Yes, yes.
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 Okay. We're going to closed session.